That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Malcolm Flex TV, and I want to share a very important message with the family at this time. You know that you know I'm really blown away just by what Allah is showing your brother through studying the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan very closely. You know, I was listening to a lecture by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I believe it was called Power, that he did in 1985 in Los Angeles. And he was talking about the Jews who hate him. Okay? And he was challenging them back then to a debate or a theological discussion proving that they are not God's chosen people. Okay? And he was explaining in that lecture how they just went and took Palestine, the Holy Land, before the right time came. Okay? Because in their theology, it teaches that they can't enter back into that land until the Messiah is present and the Messiah leads them back into the Holy Land, to the Promised Land. Okay? Now, I've been knowing this theology, but for some reason, after hearing what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said in that lecture, reminded me of something that I said prior to the Minister's Savior's Day lecture of February 2019, actually a month before in January, on a podcast with Brother Evan and Sister Desiree, the Light It Up Radio podcast. So I want to play what I heard the minister say in this video, and I want you all to listen because it just blew me away. You know what I mean? Where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him that he had one more thing to do. Okay, so if you can, I want you to bear with me. I want you to listen to these clips.
So now, out of guilt, knowing that you hate the Jews yourself, and you turned your back while they were suffering.
He's talking about Christians.
Then to make up for your wickedness against your Jewish brethren, you permitted the stealing of land from the Palestinians to give them a homeland, and you are wrong, and you are wrong, and you are wrong. America, support the state of Israel with billions of the taxpayers' dollars. You don't ask the American people. You do what you want to do. And because I have the courage to speak out against it, now I'm an anti-Semite. then condemn me with truth. I have been saying that the Jews were to be returned by the Messiah to the promised land, not by Ben-Gurion. Ben-Gurion was not the Messiah. Golda Meir was not the Messiah. Why did not you wait for the Messiah? It is because of your disbelief in God and your disbelief in the scripture and your wicked hypocrisy that you could not wait. Therefore, you marshaled your own forces to steal land from the Palestinians.
See, now that clip, right, reminded me of something that I was meditating on, that Allah gave me insight on. And I was just in deep meditation because, you know, so many of our enemies are dumbfounded on why our minister is still alive. You know, and every time the minister speaks, almost every time the minister speaks, he always mentions how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that he has one more thing to do, and then he can go and see him once again on the wheel. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been teaching us. So I was in deep meditation. I'm like, man, so what hasn't the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan done, you know what I'm saying, to not go see his father again on the wheel? You know, I'm just thinking, you know what I mean? Because he is out, the minister is literally outliving all of his enemies. And he said that Allah said in the Bible that his enemies will be made his footstool. And we are seeing this, right? And we are not understanding it. And I was meditating on this, right? But here's the clip where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan describes his vision on the wheel and how the messenger tells him that he has one more thing to do.
It is in this spirit that I make this announcement. In a tiny town in Mexico called Tepoztlan, there is a mountain on top of which is the ruins of a temple dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, the Christ figure of Central and South America. A mountain which I've climbed several times. However, on the night of September the 17th, 1985, I was carried up on that mountain in a vision with a few friends of mine. As we reached the top of the mountain, a wheel, or what you call an unidentified flying object, appeared at the side of the mountain, and I was called from the wheel to come up into the wheel. 3 metal legs appeared from the wheel, giving me the impression that it was going to land, but it never came over the mountain. Being somewhat afraid, I called to the members of my party to come with me, but a voice from the wheel spoke saying, "Not them, just you." I was told to relax, and a beam of light came from the wheel, and I was carried up on this beam of light into the wheel. I sat next to the pilot. However, I could not see him. I could only feel his presence. As the wheel lifted off from the side of the mountain, moving at a terrific speed, I knew I was being transported to the mother wheel, or the mother plane, which is a human-built planet 1/2 mile by 1/2 mile, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us of for over 60 years. The pilot, knowing that I was fearful of seeing this great mechanical object in the sky, maneuvered his craft in such a way that I would not see the mother plane, and then backed quickly into it and docked in a tunnel. I was escorted by the pilot to a door and admitted into a room. I shall not bother you with a description of the room, but suffice it to say that at the center of the ceiling was a speaker, and through this speaker, I heard the voice of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking to me as clearly as you hear my voice this morning. He spoke in short, cryptic sentences, and as he spoke, a scroll full of cursive writing rolled down in front of my eyes, but it was a projection of what was being written in my mind. As I attempted to read the cursive writing, which was in English, the scroll disappeared and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad began to speak to me again. He said, and I quote, "President Reagan has met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war. I want you to hold a press conference in Washington, D.C., and announce their plan and say to the world that you got the information from me on the wheel," end quote. He said to me that he would not permit me to see him at that time, but he said that I had one more thing to do, and when that one more thing was done, I could come again to the wheel and I would be permitted to see him face to face. He then dismissed me and I entered.
So now, family, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had the vision, and he figured out what the vision was. He learned that the president at the time had a meeting with the Joint Chief of Staff, and they was planning a war against Muammar Gaddafi, the Muslims in the East, and the black Muslims in the West, more specifically black people in general. You know what I mean? And the minister was right on both, as we can probably say, prophecies, but he was right on both. They had a war against Muammar Gaddafi, eventually assassinating Muammar Gaddafi, and they've been having a war on black people. Okay, you know, they called it war on drugs and the war on crime, but we all know that those are code words for war on black people. Okay, so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him that he had one more thing to do. Okay, so I was meditating on this heavy. You know, this was something that was really on my mind, and I just so happened to call in to the Light 'em Up radio that's hosted by our brother Evan and sister Desiree. And this is what I said. I found a recording, okay? And this is what I said. Now this is 4 months ago. This is actually in January. So this was a month before Savior's Day 2019, before the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan revealed to the world who he really was. Now here's a recording of me saying it and saying what that last thing for him to do was. But just listen to it.
Brother Malcolm Flex, you got an answer for our sister?
Yes, sir. I've done a lot of meditating on this, on that question before, and I'm glad she asked it. I think it's somewhat threefold. On one hand, I think it's what Brother Juwan said, that there's a power greater than the enemy, and I personally think that the enemy is somewhat afraid of running that risk and taking that chance and really having that meeting with that vehicle that's a half a mile by a half a mile. I think they know the reality of the mother plane. So I think that if they took that route, they running the risk in that sense. I think they know that they're running another risk to where if they make a move on our leaders, that there's going to be another uprising in this country. And according to the Hopi Indian prophecy, that the only way that the blacks will get out of this condition here in the hills and wilderness of North America is through a revolution with the American government. And the supreme wisdom in student enrollment, it teaches us, who's what's the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America and all over the planet Earth. Answer, the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America is 17 million with the 19 million Indians. All over the planet Earth, 4,400,000,000. So their destiny is intertwined with ours. So they have a prophecy with us having an all-out revolution with this country, so we can achieve our freedom. So I believe in that, in the second fold, that the enemy is also running a risk taking that route. Now, the last one, the number three, probably one of the most important factors in this situation. Now, I'm gonna share to you my thoughts. Now, I'm not saying, take what I said and publicize it, put it on Facebook, blow it up. It's nothing like that. It's just something that I've meditated on. Okay? I gotta disabuse you and give you all a disclaimer. And I don't want y'all to think, oh yeah, you think you know more than the minister. Nothing like that. This is just where my thinking is.
See what I'm saying?
I just be dabbling with all type of high science. I just be everywhere. But now, one thing that we are seeing, man, we are seeing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan outlive all his enemies. All the way from the late 70s, 80s, like everybody that was against the minister around that time, and almost to recent times, they dropping dead and they croaking and they out of here. And the minister said it. He said, I will live all my enemies. And he said, I will make my enemies my footstool. Now, check it out. Now, if we go back to, look, I'm saying this is just me. This is what I'm thinking, that this is a great possibility. I'm not saying share this with you, know what I'm saying? This is just my personal.
We hear you, bro. Go ahead and say it, God. By the way, y'all, we got 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So
go ahead, I want to hear this.
And I'm like, I would ask myself, but that Allah is really keeping the minister with us and to really vex the enemy. Because, like sister, I asked the question, what do you think about people who think, why the minister ain't dead yet? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that Allah is using the minister to really vex his enemy. And when we go back to the minister's vision on the wheel, when he said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him that there's one more thing that you got to do, then I will allow you to come back on the wheel and you will be able to see me. Right? So there's supposed to be one more thing that the minister has to do. And if we go back a little bit further, remember where the messenger told the minister that you will be able to get my people on your shoulders on the other side safely. So
right.
In my opinion, I could be wrong. It's just something I've meditated on. I personally, I can't just say I believe, but I just feel it in my heart that one more thing that the minister has to do is when the destruction comes and war comes, that he is supposed to get us back to the promised land where that is rightfully ours on his shoulders safely. That's what that's probably the conclusion that I can come up with. I can be wrong because if I want to take the minister, but I'm thinking like, that's what the Christ could be talking about is that the minister is going to physically be there with us when we leave America. That's all I want to say.
So now, family. So now, if you can hear it in my voice, I was nervous saying that. And the reason why I was nervous saying that is because I didn't want to be viewed as a hypocrite or a disbeliever. I didn't want to be accused of somebody who's a bean soup scientist, just trying to kick information, but it's really baseless. But after everything that has been taking place, the insight that Allah had blessed me with in January is starting to form, and I'm starting to see the picture a little bit clearer than I did back in January. Okay? So, when I say in that recording, I say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the minister that he would save all his people. He would get all his people through him, and he would get them across safely on his shoulders. And he said when he gets there, he won't say, look what I have done, but look what Allah has done. This is what we are being taught and fed. Okay? So Allah, just basically studying the minister, Allah blessed me with this insight. So the very next month, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave a profound lecture. Okay, now I've never, outside of giving the minister the greetings, Assalamu alaikum, dear minister, and stuff like that, I haven't been able to embrace him, shake his hand, and have a formal meeting with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But he did this lecture the very next month after I said what I said on the Light 'em Up Radio podcast. Okay? And this is what the minister said in his Savior's Day lecture.
And I found them as I went around the earth. Could you bring me a packet, please? Look, some of my Muslim family, they don't believe that the minister is honored like the scripture said. A prophet is not without honor except where? What you got there, Chief? Hold that one. I was in Libya, and the Grand Mufti of Burkina Faso, that man, when he met me, we talked a few minutes, but he had been listening to me. He took off his fez. He's the highest spiritual leader in Burkina Faso. He studied in Syria and became the second black imam in Syria. The first one was Imam Bilal. 1,400 years later, a black man becomes an imam in Syria, and he's now the principal spiritual teacher in the country of Burkina Faso. So he met me, and he took it off his head. and it fit. I'm going to ask a question. Why would a man who's the top spiritual leader in a country take off his fez and put it on my head unless he recognized I don't want to mess up my wig here. Now, I'll get the... That's my daughter. She's looking out for me. When I was in Nigeria, the Yoruba king, who is the king of the second largest tribe in Nigeria, he flew from London to meet me. When I went to where his headquarters is, in Ife, he had his people take me and Mother Khadija into a room, and we took off our clothes, not naked, of course, and he wrapped me in a purple cloth with real gold woven in all the cloth. I got it. I ain't gonna tell you where it is. When he came in with his page holding his sword, letting you know that he has the power of life and death in his hands. He installed me. His followers laid down prostrate straight on the ground in front of me. And then when it was time for me to leave, his page started walking in front of him. I beside him, my car is waiting for me. And when we got to the car, he said to the page, "Give him my sword." And the page looked at him in shock, and he snatched the sword and put it in my hand. The Abuna Sheikh, the sheikh of all sheikhs, who's in Medina, put him up on the screen. He is respected as one of the top spiritual authorities in the world, who lived in Medina and received me in his humble dwelling. When he laid eyes on me, he spoke these words with strength. Shaja'a, Shaja'a, Shaja'a. It means courage, boldness, bravery, valor, guts, brawler, spunk. He knew that Farrakhan was one of the most courageous men in the world, because he has called Satan out for the fight. He said to me, brother, I pray for you 500 times a day. And this was also mentioned by one of his students. When I went downstairs to have some tea, a little argument was going on upstairs. I wasn't paying it any attention. But on my departure, he gave the minister his cloak, his cape. In Arabic, it's called mishla, which means inheritance and authority. Whatever he was over, he gave it to me. It's no longer in Medina. It's here. Put it over my shoulder. He gave me his staff. His staff in Arabic is called asaya, which means authority. Now, I'm just traveling in the world, making friends, meeting friends, and now they're telling me something about myself that I was not aware of. Yeah, they do know. They do know. Now, in Nigeria, in 1,000 years of Durbas, the minister is only the 9th individual to receive a Durba as large as the one they gave to me. Such honored figures are Haile Selassie, Prince Charles, Queen Elizabeth II, and the minister is only the 9th individual to receive a Durba that large. There's so many honors that they gave to me. Sheikh Jamjoon in Saudi Arabia prevailed upon the king and the government to invite me to Arabia. When I went to Saudi Arabia, they honored me with a police escort to the holy city of Mecca. Reverend Al Sampson, that is here, he went to Mecca with me. He went to the holy city of Qum in Iran with me. They mobbed me so after I spoke, the students, Musti had to punch one of them. He was glad to get hit by it. Because they were trying to touch me. Moo didn't know what the hell they were trying to do. This is your brother. The only man that could have called for 1 million men and nearly 2 million came. Who am I? When my father said, when you find out who you are, you're going to have to hold yourself down. Here's a beautiful chalice, silver, and a cup that the chalice is placed in. Get the picture. Two Jewish rabbis stayed for hours downstairs in the lobby of our hotel. And they came upstairs finally. Mr. Harry Belafonte was in my suite. We were talking. And the Jewish rabbis gave me this. And believe me, people give me stuff. But I was so dumb, I didn't know what this is, you know. But I went home and I read the words to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You are the Messiah of the world. Look at this. And you are the Messiah to every human who wants to be civilized. I have never made myself of any great reputation.
So now, family, that right there got your brother's heart pumping fast. Cause I was there in the building when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan revealed to the world who he was, and I wasn't expecting him to say that. You know, I mean, during the Savior's Day weekend, he kind of gave us a hint on what he was going to do. But, I mean, wow, you know what I'm saying? That was profound. This video isn't just no ordinary YouTube video, family. Listen to what I'm saying. This is not no ordinary video right here that I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing insight that Allah has blessed me with. You know, through my studies, and I have different experiences. And this is one of them that I'm sharing with you. And I was doing some research earlier, understanding what happened in Arabia and what happened to the caliphate in Arabia. And I quickly understood the importance of why Al-Mahdi, Master Fard Muhammad, had to come to the West and resurrect the lost found members of the Nation of Islam. Because during that time, when he was doing his studying and his research in the early 1900s, the Middle East, well, actually, Europe went to war with each other, and the Ottoman Empire got caught up into that. And the wicked Jews, not all of them are wicked, but the wicked Jews, the wicked ones among them, wanted to destroy the caliphate. So in order to destroy the Islamic caliphate, they had to go through the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so the wicked Jews got in bed with the Brits, with Britain, and they sent British spies into Arabia, okay, and they offered Sharif Hussein 7 million pounds, okay, 7 million pounds, okay, to turn his back, you know what I mean, on the caliphate, you know what I mean, that was in the Ottoman Empire at the time. Okay, so they found, the enemy found a way to dismantle the Caliphate and the Ottoman Empire. So once the Caliphate was dismantled, Sharif, the one who turned his back on the Caliphate in Arabia, he was the Sharif of Arabia, you know, he claimed it for himself, but he had to put in a form asking for permission from Great Britain to be the Caliphate. So what Britain did was they paid Abdul Aziz ibn Saud 5,000 pounds a month. Okay, they had him in their pockets as well, and they paid him 5,000 pounds a month, and they told him to take his army and go and dismantle the Arabian army in Arabia. Okay, and this is where you get the House of Saud from, or the Wahhabis. You know what I'm saying? The new rulers of Arabia right now. This is how they came into play. Okay, and we understand that Master Fard Muhammad, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that he came from Arabia, from the Hijaz dynasty. He came from the Hijaz, where the Banu Hashim are from. And the Quraysh tribe they come from the Banu Hashim. You know what I'm saying? These are the descendants of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Because in Hadith, Prophet Muhammad teaches that Al-Mahdi comes from out of his family. And these people were located in the Hijaz. You know what I'm saying? That the enemy took over. So that whole area was in shambles. So Master Fard Muhammad had to reestablish Islam, and he had to reestablish Islam in the West out of a dead people, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that Allah is using us because we are created out of a material that Allah needed, because when Allah created himself from triple darkness, you know, there was pre-existing material that were already there that he needed to use so he can come and manifest himself through. Okay, and the minister likened us to the creator God that created himself out of triple darkness, and said that right now the black man and woman are that material that Allah needs to manifest himself through. Thus, you have the Nation of Islam, okay, that will establish the new caliphate, okay, and will set justice in the earth. Okay, Al-Mahdi goes to war with Dajjal, okay, the one-eyed Dajjal, or that one-eyed Jew, okay, and the man who has one eye in the land of the blind is king. I'm going to repeat that. The man who has one eye in the land of the blind is king. But also in the supreme wisdom, supreme wisdom teaches us that there's a wide field that awaits the wide awake man. There's a big field that awaits the wide awake man to work out in. Who's the wide awake man? The 5%. Nation of Islam, poor righteous teachers. Okay? And we prove through prophecy, through scripture, that we are the true children of Israel. And the Messiah is actually with us, and the Messiah has to lead us. He will be at the head of 10,000 fearless, 10,000 holy ones, 10,000 saints, okay, back into the Holy Land to clean it up. This is the work of the Messiah. And the Messiah is with us in the Nation of Islam, who is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Woo! Family. So this is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. I just had to share this video with y'all. This is no ordinary video. Please don't take this video lightly. Allah put it on your brother's heart to present this information. And that's all that I have at the moment. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can leave a comment in the comment section, and you can always hit me at malcolmflex19@gmail.com. So with that being said, I appreciate you all for tuning in to this video, and we'll meet once again. This is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. Peace and assalamu alaikum.
I still see your shadows in my room. I can't take back the love that I gave you. It's to the point where I love and I hate you, and I cannot change you, so I